Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and of course honored guests. Felix Baumgartner recently performed a skydive from 23 miles above the Earth's surface. He jumped from 23 miles up in the sky. Now Felix broke multiple world records with this jump. The most notably being the highest jump that any human's ever done. He also, though, at that speed, when you fall, you continue to speed up. So he moved faster than any human has ever moved outside of a vehicle, with no engine propelling him forward, simply his spacesuit, parachute, and helmet. He went 700 miles per hour. He broke Mach 1. Another way of saying is that Felix, with no engine, no vehicle, moved faster than the speed of sound. But my friends, this almost never occurred. Felix was scared. More accurately, he was claustrophobic. See, Felix, whose nickname is Fearless Felix, had 2,500 jumps, base jumps, and other crazy stunts all around the world. But he'd never done any of them in a spacesuit. And so the spacesuit that limited his motion, that restricted his field of view to a narrow field, and then the environment having no air, so no feel as he moves, and then having no point of reference to orient yourself, and the 3-hour journey up to space was fear-inducing for Felix. And so after a particularly hair-raising practice jump, using the same spacesuit and the same pod and weather balloon that would lift Felix 23 miles up later, the practice jump maybe at 15 miles up, Felix had a panic attack. For the first time in Felix's life, he began having nightmares. A week after the jump, he approached the Red Bull executives and told them the bad news. He was pulling the plug. He was quitting the Red Bull Stratos project. Now what Red Bull did shows you a quick snapshot of their amazing company ethos. They rejected his rejection. And so instead they reached out to a personal hero of mine, podcast commentator and Dr. Michael Gervais. Now, Michael Gervais is the real deal. He's a sports psychologist who works with big game surfers, pro athletes, top executives, and let's just say he started working with the Seahawks when the Seahawks started winning. And so what Felix and Dr. Gervais did can help you in your public speaking and any other insurmountable challenges you have in your life. See, Dr. Gervais realized that the suit had become a symbol for Felix of everything he couldn't control on this mission, things that are outside of his control. So what they did, much like the work breakdown system, is they broke that insurmountable challenge into individual chunks. And then Felix got curious. So instead of worrying about the suit, which I forgot to mention, is a pinhole in the suit causes all the air to leave the suit, causes a very painful and certain death. Instead of focusing on that suit, he focused on what he was going to do with the suit. Felix got curious about what it would feel like to go where no man has ever gone, or jump from space. What it would feel like to break that sound barrier. When he got that curiosity, he started having his mind in the moment and not thinking about, worrying about what could happen. Now I want to stress, this is not naive curiosity. Dr. Gervais is not saying you jump on a bull at a rodeo because you want to see what's going to happen without any prior training. Instead, using the WBS, you break it down into individual sections and you get curious about how you can perform each one of those sections. So instead of worrying about the forces that Mach 1 would put on him as he's tumbling down towards the earth, what it would do to his body, Felix built a better body. So at 43 years old, he got in the best shape of his life. He was already a former Austrian paratrooper and stunt double. He was in good shape, but he took it to another level. He built his core strength to handle the Mach pressures that would be on him, Mach 1 pressures. And instead of worrying about this specific mission for the months leading up to it, with Dr. Gervais's recommendation and Red Bull's permission, Felix went on a field trip. He got curious about what it would be like in Rio de Janeiro to jump from Christ the Redeemer statue. Now, supposedly Felix did a couple other crazy stunts that he never revealed to the world to get his groove back. For me, this is like Rocky 3, Rocky fights Apollo in the gym and no one gets to see it. I really want to know what he did to break down and change his mind from fearing to curious. But the world will never know. When his trip to paradise ended, Felix had to face his insurmountable challenge. And so for this, they broke down, Dr. Gervais broke down and had him work mindfulness and then also meditation. And they got in the pod, first in his very comfy flight suit. He would meditate and think about each step of the mission. Then in the fear-inducing spacesuit. And then with the voices of ground control played in a loop, he would visualize every step of the mission. With this preparation, Felix was ready. He thanked his ground team, stepped in the pod, and traveled 23 miles up into space. He stepped onto the platform, saluted planet Earth, and took one step and made history. Now, Felix was already an experienced base jumper, so then it was easy. He landed safely back to Earth, conquering his fear. And folks, that smile says it all. Now, you may never you probably won't, jump from 23 miles above surface of the Earth. I don't know if Red Bull's sponsoring a second trip. But each one of us faces an insurmountable challenge in our life, or what appears to be insurmountable. And so I hope that you can use some of these structures, WBS, that Dr. Gervais and Felix used to overcome your challenges. And take your public speaking to new heights. So for me, my fear of public speaking is pauses. I don't like them. And then emotional connection with the audience, raw emotional connection. And these are the things I'm working on. If you recall from my icebreaker speech, those of you that were here, I joined Toastmasters as an Army leader so I could better honor soldiers in their farewell speeches and their attaboy moments. So all the hard work that they do for our units, constantly, I'll have the ability in 2 minutes to summarize 17 years of service in some cases. And I'm very thankful for all the love and support that I've received from everybody in this room for helping me get better at that. And so please, next time you have an insurmountable challenge, use this WBS, break it down, and get curious about how you can improve in each one of those elements. And then hopefully, your audience will be as receptive as Felix was. I'm Toastmaster.
The Competent Communicator Ribbon, and to congratulate you on achieving Competent Communicator so swiftly, so effectively, and entertaining us and enlightening us with your wonderful speeches. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters. Welcome guests, especially Patty. Patty, my friend, anytime you want to talk, I'd gladly be your golf caddy. You are doing speech number 10 from the Competent Communicator Manual, Inspire Your Audience. Your goal is to inspire us by appealing to noble motives, to challenge us to achieve a higher level of beliefs or achievement, and appeal to our needs and emotions using stories, anecdotes, and quotes to add drama. And then we talked before, a couple of your personal objectives were to connect connect with us emotionally, and mix in some pauses at appropriate times. So I'll run down the evaluation guide, give you some strengths, some areas of improvements, and then what it really did for me. So was the speech topic relevant to the occasion selected? Yes. You somehow attached jumping from space to the fears that we can all experience, specifically with speaking. Did you understand and express the feelings and needs of the audience? Yes, you have experienced fear yourself. You've sat in the seat, you've worked your way through this, and so you know what that's like. Were you forceful, confident, and positive? Yes. Your slam was, I probably mentioned it several times in here. That got me, and it got my attention. Did the speaker effectively use stories, anecdotes, and/or quotes to help convey your message? And I would say yes, you took us through the story, conveyed your entire speech. Did the speaker's words convey strong, vivid mental images? And I went back to those 5 human needs that we went. And I specifically noticed he was up there with no air, and that met our physiological need of air. And then you took the need of safety, and you helped us to challenge that. And so I really liked how you really focused on that one and told us how we can break through of these insecurities, this vision restriction we have, and this mobility restriction that we have, and how we can get past that by breaking down into steps. Did you use your body language to enhance your message? Yes. Your slam, your movement was all very good. And did it uplift the audience and motivate us to do as the speaker intended? And I will speak for myself at the end on that one. Some strong words or phrases that I liked out, I pulled out, was that the suit was a symbol of things out of his control. And so we can all take that and envision all of these suits that we have in every aspect of our life, things that are out of our control. I also like not naive curiosity. You differentiated the difference between plain ridiculous curiosity and intentional curiosity. And then you took us from fearing to curious. Some strengths that I saw was you used the story to take us through the entire speech. It was your intro tied throughout the entire speech, and I really liked that. You encouraged us to take public speaking to new heights. And then you appealed to me as a service member on your motives for why you wanted to do Toastmasters and get better speaker. And you leveraged our human needs, those 5 human needs. I have a lot of those circled that you covered. Suggestion for improvement. Part of your objective was a pause for humor, or excuse me, pauses. And there was a time when you made a crack. You changed from jumping into, well, none of us may jump from space. And there was an excellent time you could have paused and let us chuckle a little bit. Again, your motives really called to me as a service member and speaking at events and things. And we'll all have to experience times when we'll have to speak at short, succinct, and kind of wrap up somebody's life in one little burst. And finally, I'm thankful that you embody what you're talking about here. To see you taking this fear that you have, you actually have done this and sat through this seat, and you've broke it into pieces, 10 speeches, the Competent Leader Manual, and you've done this. So you've turned your curiosity and conquered your fear. Thanks, Patty.